tell us, Jake, a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in insurance, and how you ended up at Family First Life?
Sure. So I got my insurance license in 2018. I was with a captive agency, and I basically, I learned enough and took a step back and actually read the contract that I was in and realized that it just wasn't the place I could be. I just couldn't attain what I knew I was capable of attaining as fast as I wanted to, do it at that current situation. So I started looking, and Easton Patton actually made a post on Instagram, and he did something like $250,000. It was like in his first 7 months that he was went for advice on how to sell more life insurance, and the conversation escalated from there. And I started with Family First Life, full time in June of 2020.
In June of 2020, full time. And,
yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but I remember saying that you are the fastest agent in Family First Life history. I think until now, I don't know if anyone has beaten you yet to get to hit Hall of Fame in a short period of time. Is that right?
That's what they said, man. But I mean, I'm excited for somebody to beat it, bro. I hope it's that'd be awesome.
I'm saying I'm not sure, because there's all these crazy agents coming up every single week who are just putting some huge numbers. So I know that for 2020 you hit like 400K in like 6 months or less than that, which is remarkable, Jacob. Wow. So that's the kind of producer that we have in here today. A person who, which month of this year did you already hit Hall of Fame, Jake? Because I know you hit it very early.
It was in May this year.
May. So in like 5 months you hit Hall of Fame. What are you right now currently issue paying as of the year? And we still have a month and a half to go.
On the IP report today, I think it was 983.
983,000.
Yeah.
And you still have a month and a half to go. So you're totally gonna be hitting over $1 million in the year. And you know what the best thing? I remember you saying that you're gonna hit $1 million next year during the convention earlier in the year. And I was thinking, this guy is nuts. That's a lot of business. But wow, congratulations, Jake. There's nothing that's going to stop you from that, man. I'm super proud. Thank you for taking your time, because in order to hit $1 million, I know you have no time to do these kind of things, and I know what it takes. So walk us through what is a day in the life of Jacob Konen in order to hit those big numbers, Jake. What is a day in the life of Jake? What time do you wake up? How do you go about it? How do you structure your day?
Yeah, man. I mean, I usually like to wake up around 4. Sometimes that's 4:15, sometimes that's 4:30. Because I mean, it's real easy to let your day get away from you and not take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? When you're that busy, because once the day starts, you're rolling. It's going crazy. It's going wild. You don't have a lot of time. So I usually take that time for myself and just get, my mental state where I would like it to be. So I can go out and tackle the rest of the day, kind of putting on like your mental body armor, if that makes sense, for the day, just so you're ready for everything. Dial days, I mean, we're hitting the phones between 7:30 and 8 a.m. every single dial day. In the field, running, 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., right? Sometimes getting back home at like, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11, sometimes midnight, 1 o'clock if it's a long drive, just depends on where you're at. And then either, hopping on a plane or waking up wicked early to make sure you're in the office and on time to start dialing again. Just being consistent with it is probably the biggest thing.
You hit it right on the nail. Consistency is definitely key if you have those goals that you want to hit.
Yeah.
So you wake up at between 4:30 in the morning. So you're part of the 4 a.m. club with Dave Witcher and company, I'm sure. The one thing I was gonna ask though, what time do you go to bed, man? If you're waking up at 4.
Right. Yeah. It's man, honestly, it's different every day.
Yeah.
It's different every day. It just depends. Like last night, got back from Fort Wayne at like 12:30, 12:45. So I mean, just whatever you got to do.
It's true. Yeah. Well, you have to put in the work. And I know that you were recently married, like a year or so married, or maybe less than that.
Yeah. So 2 years in September. So this last September was 2 years. Yep.
2 years in September. Well, congratulations. So tell me about the support from your spouse in what you're doing, because I know that part is crucial.
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I haven't been asked that on an interview before. Man, she's been great. I definitely married the right one. She has her own goals and dreams and all that stuff. So she's going out doing the same thing I am, just in a different space. She's in labor and delivery, nurse,
Wow.
right? And she loves little kids. She's just a naturally nurturing person, So, I mean, she understands that I'm chasing something, and she's in full support, which is awesome.
Wow. One is in the life business, the other one in the death business in a way.
Yeah, you can say that.
You can say that.
Yeah.
That's wild. Wow. So that's amazing. And then when of course, you do spend a lot of time traveling and being out of the house and so on.
Yeah.
How do you guys manage that, particularly like working, having that kind of workload for
Hmm.
yourself, being away and so on? How do you guys manage
Yeah.
that?
Man, another great question. I think just being super understanding, like about the reason why you were doing things, just being super upfront. This is what I'm chasing down. We're here to get an integrity deal. This is what we have to do every step along the way to get that. Here's what it's going to look like for us after we get that. And then just being flexible, but I mean, you learn to be a lot more intentional about your time. Like the time that we do have together, we're way more intentional and it's super enjoyable, and I mean, it's awesome. Our relationship has actually gotten better because of it, I would say.
Wow, there you go. That's the key right there, Jake. Very good. So you do travel a lot.
Yeah.
In how many states are you licensed, Jake? Do you know more or less?
26.
26 out of the 50. Very good. And very good, very good. You have half the country taken care of. Someone else has to take care of the rest. What about how many travel trips do you usually do a month?
Man, so I'm kind of on like a permanent travel trip, right? I'm from Montana. I'm out in Ohio, living here and that stuff. So, I mean, it just kind of depends on what you consider a travel trip, I guess. If you consider a travel trip hopping on a plane to go out somewhere and run business, renting a car, doing the hotel thing for, a couple of days or a week, that's a once a month non-negotiable. I think it's just a great ingredient to add in your recipe for success and just making yourself uncomfortable a little bit and testing yourself all the time. So I like to stay on top of that at least once a month, hopping on a plane to go and travel. But I mean, outside of that, I could, like tomorrow I have to drive 3.5 hours from before my first appointment at 8 a.m. right to go run business in Louisville, Kentucky.
There you
So
go.
just on the fly, man, whatever it takes.
Fantastic. So when you're on the road, Jake,
Mhm.
what are some things that you don't travel without, that you always take with you?
Oh my gosh, you're asking the best questions, man. So I mean, I've got a gym bag, right? Because I have to do that first, or else I'm off kilter the whole day a little bit, So I always bring that with me, non-negotiable. I mean, I always just like the stuff you need for business, but I would say that's like one of those things that like I'm gonna have an extra check bag at the airport every single time, no matter what. Just my gym bag, all the stuff I need to do that.
Very good. And what is the one thing that makes your job easier, like tangible thing that you carry with you, that you take with you in the in-home or when you're preparing on like a dial day? What are
Mhm.
those things that you must have, that you purchase and like, man, this changed my life. This made it so much easier. Is there something there or
Actually, I just got another one, so I got it right here.
let's see what you got.
So like I do business with with an iPad, right?
Right.
We all got the iPad and like the stylus pencil. So this pencil right here, I've probably purchased like 10 to 15 times this year. The same one. You know what I'm saying? I lose it all the time. So like this thing right here, there's like glue on the back. There's a little strip, so like you can put it on the back of your iPad, and I haven't lost a pen since.
Dude.
Right there.
What a great that's a great share, because that's actually something that the other day I was like, where is my pencil? I pull out the iPad, I was like, where's my pencil? I was like, okay, we're gonna have to do it on the computer again and send you by email and so on. So that's a good one. Where do you get that one from? Do you remember?
Best Buy.
Best
Best Buy.
Buy.
We got to get some FFL
We need to get
Apple
someone
pen
with
holders.
Apple pen holders from FFL. Absolutely, we need to get on that one for sure. Very good. And when you're on the road, when you're traveling, what do you listen? What do you read?
I listen to a lot of I mean, I think Grant Cardone's great. I did lots of his trainings, but Ed Milet, you know, and lots of books lately. You know, Tim Grover. He has a great book. He was a trainer for Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. You know, just his book on winning. You know, if there's somebody that knows how to do that and knows what those winners' characteristics, you know, have. You know, it's a guy like Tim Grover that trained him. You know, so I mean, just anything that you can dig a little bit deeper and make like a personal adjustment in progress. You know, that's going to make you better in the house. It's going to make you better on the phone. You know, all that stuff. Just those little like personal tweaks. Anything that can give you that.
Very good. What do you think, Jake, are some things that you made, some changes that you did into yourself this year in comparison to last year based on learnings that took you to issue paying basically $1 million because you're basically almost there?
Wow. Literally the best questions. That's so awesome. Man, I mean a ton. You know, anything that you want to make like a change wise on the issue paid board, whether it's like, you know, for your team, like if a guy's out there and you know he's capable of doing X, you know, you can't just tell him to start doing that. You probably need to like deliver a message differently. You know, so if you can, that's probably the biggest thing really, is that everything's on you. Everything's on you. Like every single component of this business is on you 110%. And if you're not getting the results that you want, whether that's from a writer, right, believing in themselves or whatever, you probably just need to tweak the way that you're communicating the message that you're sending their way a little bit differently to get the result you're looking for.
Very good. Because even though you're almost issue paying $1 million and you're definitely a top producer, I know that you probably still have days where you struggle with something. Who do you go to? Who are the people that are in your corner that you usually go to just to bounce ideas and understand how you can be better?
Sure. So I mean, Zach Twardowski's there, Easton Patton's there. And then, I mean, I'm lucky enough to work with some amazing individuals as well. So lots of the questions that they're asking, you know, lots of times I haven't thought about something in that capacity. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, you know, Andy Palace, you know, Andy, right? He's
a machine.
He's one of the best leaders I've ever been around ever. You know what I'm saying?
Hands
and so
down.
I mean, I learn a lot from guys like that too. You know, I'm not prideful enough to think that I have the answer for everything, because I don't. Right? You know, you can learn something from everybody.
Very good. Very good. We have here a question that from a person on the chat. So how many appointments a week do I need to knock out to make Hall of Fame working full time?
How many appointments? I would say 30.
30. 30 is the magic number indeed, and people who have been stuck in with 30 at least definitely hit it already. So that's definitely a good answer. Very good question, Lily. Thank you for asking that. In regards to the business itself, because of course you travel a lot, you have a packed schedule, you have a lot of activity, Jake, and you're about to hit $1 million, which is remarkable. How do you challenge yourself to wake up every day, to keep going at it, to keep that clear goal in head, and to keep performing at your best, keep waking up at 4:15, 4:30 in the morning? How do you challenge yourself?
I just think it can't be about money. It can't be about money, because I mean, the Family First Life opportunity over here is so phenomenal. You know, anybody can come over here and change their life. You know, I think that's why everybody should build a business here. Right, is because I don't just wake up for myself at that time. I have to be at my best, you know, because if this person calls me, I got to have the response. I got to be able to have that knowledge. And like, if I don't have that knowledge, I need to find it for them very quickly. You know, so surround yourself with people that are awesome people that you want to see win. That makes all the difference in the world right there. I think that's the biggest key.
Very good. Very good. And I know that you mentioned how you work really hard with your team, you learn from your team and so on, but how do you challenge them for them to hit their goals and beyond? Besides being there for them, how you challenge them? For example, let's say you have a top performer, as a scenario, and for like a week or 2 weeks, he hasn't submitted anything. You see, it looks like something's happening, like something's off, like he hit a low, maybe a bunch of chargebacks. How do you bring him back up? How do you challenge him to get back on the horse?
That's the thing is that I don't. I don't. I think it's crucial for people to fall flat on their face, because when they do, you got to figure out who you're working with right away. So if that person falls on their face and they invested all their money in leads and they didn't get a sale that week, I want to see how they're going to respond, right? And I want to see the length that they're willing to go to make this thing work for them. And if I see the person that kind of tucks their tail between their legs and runs back home and runs away from busting through that barrier that's going to make a life-changing change for them, and if they run away from that, I know who I'm working with. But if they run towards it and they keep just beating against that wall like a sledgehammer, and they're going to figure it out no matter what, those people I can challenge a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And so when I find that person, I know that they want better for themselves because they're not stopping. So we're gonna figure out that implementation, and that person you can talk a lot differently to than the person that runs away, if that makes sense. So I think allowing people to fail, see how they respond, who you're working with, and then you can challenge them.
Lions, not sheep, says Andy Paulos. He's watching. He's watching close. He's watching close. He's learning. There was another question in the chat. Thank you, Alina, for joining us. The question was, when you set up your goals at the beginning of the year, do you set up like short-term goals, long-term goals? How do you like prepare yourself?
I don't set up a lot of long-term goals. I think everybody really grossly underestimates what they can accomplish in a day or a week. So I think if you max out like a day and you do that 7 days in a row, you're probably going to be so much closer to your goal that you set forth for the entire year than you thought.
Wow.
So I think you can just max out, every single day. And if you're being intentional about it and a couple of specific things that you need to do that are hard every single day, and you just do them every single day, that's going to make all the difference. So just focus on the one day, not doing $1 million over the course of a year. It's like today I need to make X number of phone calls, buy X number of leads. And tomorrow when I'm in the house, it's one appointment at a time, right? I'm not just going to write 30K this week, in this one appointment.
Right. Jacob, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I agree with you a lot with that. I think it's good to have a long-term goal, which for you in a way is integrity, but that in order to get that, you need to show up every single day to make it happen, right?
Of course.
And those short-term goals are definitely easier to attain. They can give you a greater reward because you see them more often as you accomplish them. Like you mentioned, make 100 calls. You made 100 calls. You're like, man, I did it. I got my 100 calls. Whatever the response was, right?
Yeah.
But you got it done, which is very important. Those small wins go a very, very long way. Very good. Lastly, in regards to challenges, Jake, how do you challenge your clients? I know you're a fantastic closer, but how do you challenge your clients when they're a bit hesitant at the end of the presentation, or when they're like, they want to think about it, or they're not quite sure? How do you challenge them?
I think if you challenge them at the beginning of the appointment, it makes the end a lot easier, right? So
meaning what? Give me an example.
Yeah, so I want to ask you what you want this policy to do for you and your family before you know what the price is, because then you're going to be telling me, that based out of love for your beneficiary and the people that it would impact. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna use that all the way through the appointment, right? Because you're telling me you want your policy to accomplish X without even seeing a price, so I know what you actually want it to do.
Got it.
Right, and I'm gonna dig into the beneficiaries. All that stuff at the beginning. I don't even have my notepad out for the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes of the appointment. Just have a conversation with them, man, and figure out what they want to do, what motivates them, and that's gonna make everything at the end a lot easier.
Very good. So let's say that someone tells you everything they want to do. Sorry, my dogs just started running on top of that. I know you heard that one. It's they're definitely chasing something. 65-pound bulldog there. Anyway, yeah, I know it's a big one. So the question that I have is, let's say that you do present that up front, Jake, and they tell you, hey, I want all this stuff that they be taken care of because this and that, this is my why. You understand it really well. Then you show prices based on what they want. And they're like, wait a second, that's too high. How do you battle that question there, being like, hey, this is what it is? How do you go about that? Because I know that you submit very big, very high premiums often because I see that you're not the numbers that you submit. So how do you how do you challenge them at that point?
At that point in time, so like right when they see price, I mean, I just leverage their why, and I just speak to, you know, the best part inside of you, you know, that told me what you wanted and why at the beginning. I mean, if something's too expensive and you can't afford it, like, we're not going to put that in place. Like, it doesn't make sense because you're going to cancel it, and I don't want that chargeback business, right? But if you can afford it and it does fit within your budget, like, Pancho, you told me that you're the only one that works in the house. You guys have a beautiful home. You guys have kids. If your income doesn't walk through the door tomorrow, like, you and me both know what's going to happen. We don't have to go back there. You already told me, right? So what are we doing here? I'm gonna submit the rest of this policy, the rest of this application, see if you can get approved.
Very
I don't
good.
really,
Excellent.
I guess I don't really ask permission.
Very good. No, you assume because that's what you're there for. You assume that this is why you're there. They already sent the lead. They sent the request that they didn't have to. Why? Because they cannot do it by themselves. You called them. They could have told you not to come, but they say yes, come over. You showed up there. You're doing business like that. I have the same mentality as you. I'm not just coming here after all the stuff that you did for you to say no. Like, this makes no sense. Right? Very good. So a particular challenge that I make everyone do. I don't know how your Spanish is. Montana probably speaks a lot of Spanish, I'm sure.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Very good. So there's a phrase that that I ask people to try to repeat and see how you do. So the first section goes like this. So pay attention. Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo?
Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo?
Very good. Desafía este momento.
Desafía este momento.
Very good. Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo? Desafía este momento. What it means is, if not now, when? Challenge this moment. And it's basically what you were saying earlier, right, Jake? About how you challenge yourself every day to get there. And this is what we're doing here. The reason why I bring people in here is to show that everybody challenges themselves in different ways every single day, in every moment that we have, and we choose how to challenge ourselves. And people bring different things into the table, and I think that everyone can take some value out of this. And so far, everyone, you're number 10, week number 10, and we were very much looking forward to having you here. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I know you're hiring people all over the country. If they want to reach you, Jake, how can they get in contact with you?
Just call me 406-607-0624.
There was a bit of problem there with the audio. Would you mind repeating that one more time, please?
Of course. 406-607-0624.
Very good, Jake. Thank you so much for that. And last thing for you, you get to pick the next person that needs to come over and join me on a Challenge This Moment podcast. Who are we challenging, Jake?
And I get to pick anybody?
You get to pick anybody from the company. Doesn't matter.
Man.
Whoever you like, good. Whoever you think that's going to bring a good value to people that they can make the most out of this. Because think about it. This is not just what the people that just came in today to watch us. Yeah. People can then go in, listen on, look up Challenge This Moment on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and they can listen on the road. And it's a 30-minute podcast that gives a lot of podcasts. Got it. Oh, look at that. This ain't Andrew Taylor.
Does it have to be people just on this team?
No. It could be anyone.
Anybody.
Whoever you believe that will bring a lot of value to this.
I haven't even talked to him before, but I think Josh Williams.
Josh Williams. I don't know who he is. Tell me a little bit about Josh Williams and why Josh Williams, in your opinion.
He works directly with Hayden Hill.
Okay.
On Nina's team.
Okay.
The phone died. I just tagged him in here, but that man Josh Williams. He's going to be the fastest builder ever to have $1 million agency in FFL history.
Wow. Okay. Do you know how many months by any chance?
Man, don't quote me on this, but I think it was something like 8 months, 8-9 months.
Wow. Okay. So Josh Williams it is then. We're going to send in a quick message to him, reach out, see if we can bring him over in like 2 weeks from now. Next week, we have another agent coming in. So every 2 weeks, they're going to be rolling. So happy. I was telling everyone watching here, so happy to have you. It was an absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for pouring into this call, for sharing your knowledge with the people. And once again, Jake, thank you for your time.
Thank you too, man. This was one of the best interviews I've had. Great questions.
I appreciate it, Jake. Well, we'll talk soon again, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Give us a follow when you have a chance, and then you can listen to Jared and Andy and Calvin and Samantha Brooke and I don't know, so many people wow, so many people rating the podcast. You should go check them out. They're great. All right.
Will do, man. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Well, you too. Take care, Jake. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you everyone for taking the time once again, for even waiting here for that Jake even join us one more time. I really, really enjoyed this episode. It was it was full of amazing content. Definitely go check it out. I hope you have a great rest of your week and great weekend ahead. Be careful on the road if you're traveling somewhere or just working at home. And then one more thing, just we'll see you next week, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time on Challenge This Moment right here in FFL State, or you can find us already on Spotify as well as Apple Music for more content. Okay, you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.